Showcasing local talent, professionals, and everyday people making Salt Lake City what it is today. It's time for another episode of the I Am Salt Lake podcast.
All right, let's welcome everybody out today to episode 338 of I Am Salt Lake podcast. I want to give a big shout out to those of you that have been telling your family and friends about this podcast. We love you for that. Keep on sharing it. If this is your first time here, of course, my name is Chris.
And my name is Chrissy.
And we're, of course, recording today out of our awesome podcast studio here at Access Co-working Space, right in the heart of downtown Salt Lake City.
And you might be wondering what we're doing here. What is this podcast? We're actually here to showcase the cool people in Salt Lake doing amazing things. People like musicians, artists, business owners, restaurants, really anyone that would have a cool story.
Like today on the podcast, we got the opportunity to sit down and have a conversation with SEO master Mark Herre.
Mark came and shared all of these awesome SEO tips and suggestions that a lot of you can actually put into practice right away on your websites. And we learned a lot of stuff that I'm actually really excited to put into practice on our website.
A lot of people don't realize, like small business owners, you don't realize how important your website is with the SEO and proper keywords and all that. And we get into that here with Mark. But before we jump into that interview, let's give some quick love to our sponsors, Five Wise Vodka, Product Power Up, and Blip Billboards. We're going to be telling you more about them a little bit later on in the podcast, but it is farmers market season. This is my favorite time of the year. I love to talk about this on the podcast. People that have been listening to I Am Salt Lake, you guys know how much I love talking about it. It is my favorite time of the year here in Salt Lake City. If you have never had a chance to visit the downtown Salt Lake City Farmers Market, do yourself a favor and go check it out. It is happening every Saturday until October 20th from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. at historic Pioneer Park. It's right downtown. Tons of local artisans that are making some amazing things, local farmers selling some of the best produce, and we're actually going to be there a handful of Saturdays throughout the season. So you're going to want to make sure you're connected with us on social media so you can know the exact Saturdays that we're at the downtown farmers market.
Alrighty, let's get into that conversation with Mark Herre when he came over to our podcast studio and shared his story. Enjoy.
What did your childhood smell like, Mark?
I lived actually in Utah when I was a child and lived in Murray. And I remember one particular Halloween, there were snowmen, snow ghosts for Halloween. And I moved.
Out of actual snow?
Yeah, well, because it snowed for Halloween.
Okay.
And that memory stayed with me when I moved to Seattle. And I've had 25 years in Seattle now and 25 years in Utah. So I've hit a middle. Kind of tells you how old I am. And what ends up happening when you do that, when you move from a snow area to a non-snowy area, I kept thinking all my childhood life, where are the snowmen for Halloween? Because I thought that's part of Halloween as a kid. And so I grew up in Seattle and kind of moved over back to Utah.
So you moved from, you were born here, but moved to Seattle.
Exactly.
What took you to Seattle?
Well, my dad,
your dad
took me along when I was
Your parents, when you're under
18. And it happened a really good time to move to Seattle during that time period. I got to witness a ticket tape parade in 1978 when I was about 11 years old for the Seattle Supersonics for basketball.
Can I ask what a ticket tape parade is?
I have no idea.
As a non-sports ball person?
I don't do sports ball, Mark.
Well, it's when you're an 11-year-old kid and your basketball team, professional basketball team, wins the world championship. And they bring them home. And you're an 11-year-old kid and you had a little dab at going to some of the basketball games. That was a great thing. That was fun. Just growing up in Seattle. And before it got really too busy, I was a little older than the grunge scene. So people always say, so Kurt Cobain was right down the street. And I say, well, actually, my brother, who passed away when he was 9 months old, he actually was buried within 10 feet away from Jimi Hendrix.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I took my family back to see him, and they had moved the grave from Jimi Hendrix, which was across the street from Lullaby Land. Well, that was where my brother, who passed away at 9 months, and moved him just in a little area and gave him his own little plot because it's like a mecca to get to Jimi Hendrix. And,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But now you're here in Utah.
but I'm in Utah, and I've been here 25 years living.
What brought you back to Utah?
Country dance.
Country dance.
Yeah.
Expound.
Okay.
A girl.
Lots of girls.
Well, that's what people do in Utah.
So
Just kidding.
I like dancing, and it didn't matter what kind of dancing. I just knew in Utah they did more country dancing, and so I had to pick it up. And I didn't know anything about it in Seattle. I was more of a scoocher, a dancer, and going to Utah, I liked the fact that girls like to go country dancing, and that's what brought me here. I kind of graduated with college.
Well, I want to get into SEO. I mean, that's why you're here, Mark. I brought you secretly on here so we can have an amazing website. So IamSaltLake.com can be amazing with its SEO. You've been doing this, okay, on your shirt you're wearing now, your polo shirt, it says established 1996. I mean, you were doing this back since Windows 95? Mm-hmm. Is that what?
I actually did SEO back in 1998.
What? Well, we're here for Mark, Chrissy.
Oh, but come on.
So I want to talk about your 1998 experience.
Well, I just think this is fun.
No, so what got you into SEO? What got you interested in it?
Well, when I moved to Utah, I actually wanted an education. So I went to a liberal arts college. I had the degrees, I had the piece of paper, and I moved to Cedar City where they had this liberal arts college. And so I had the opportunity to build my college after graduating with an extra degree. They wanted a website. And since in 1995, I was the only person on campus who had an email address. They said, "Oh, well, then you must know how to build us a website." Obviously.
Because you have an email address?
That was it.
I remember when I found out my older brother had an email address, and I was like, "Can I use your email address for people to send stuff to?" You didn't realize you can get a free Hotmail email address.
Hotmail.
This was pre-Hotmail. So the only email address people had were SUU email addresses at Southern Utah University. And I could never share. And people were sharing. And that's funny that you mentioned sharing because they were the only cool kids. I mean, if you had an email, it means
everybody was your friend.
Yes. You really did log in with people's other email addresses because that was your world out to get to know other people. So building a website was the thing. And I built the college a website. And then they said, well, great. Now, who's coming to our website? And we want to get homeschoolers. We want to recruit these homeschoolers so that...
Wait, why did they want to recruit homeschoolers?
Because it was
to go to
liberal arts
college, right?
It was a liberal arts.
Yeah, I guess.
Liberal arts college, and plus, it's a long story, but that's who they wanted. Now, when you have a client...
Everything's a long story. Huh?
No, when you have a client who says, this is who I want to come to my website, you're not going to argue with them. And plus, I knew the exact type of, homeschooler. Then I said, okay, well, we need to be number one for a keyword called homeschoolers, right? And it was really broad. And that just got me going and it got me trying to, figure it out. And I was in an area that quickly grew because in St. George and Cedar City with all the hotels, with all the tourism, one thing led to another. And I started helping other people with their websites because I knew how to do it.
And there probably wasn't a whole lot of people back then that did know how to do it.
I started an ISP with a friend.
Really?
Yeah, an internet service provider.
Right.
And it was called 123inter.net. That just kind of morphed to like, oh no, I can't work for these guys anymore. I got to have my own website and my own company. It was more of a lead generation tool for me because if you own an ISP, people obviously I could get businesses to get an account, but then they wanted their own website. So I started building websites, and before 1998, I probably had, when you started getting on the internet. Yeah, Chrissy.
I
had the chance to work for about 5 hotels in St. George, about 3 in Cedar City, and real estate agents were really popular, and tourism was really popular. Everybody wanted to sell their Bryce Canyon tourism, and it was pretty popular. It was funny when St. George, it had 5 hotels all wanting to be first page for St. George Hotel.
Yeah, how do you even balance that if you have 5 of almost the exact same clientele?
The client would call on the phone and would say things like, "I thought I told you we have to be number 1."
Yeah.
And then the Comfort Inn would call about 5 minutes later and find out that they got knocked off by the Holiday Inn. And they'd say, "I thought I told you we have to be number 1." And back then it was all a little, and it was a quick little, "Okay, you're number 1, check." And they would check and they would see. And back then it was InfoSeek.
Yeah.
Really is what they really cared most about. It was
Google wasn't even around then, right?
No.
Right.
Wasn't
even around. And that's a funny story about Google.
Was big.
Google was the trend. And I went to a group of people upstairs, and they had properties and websites, and we kind of collaborated in St. George. And I went there to do a presentation. And I said, "Today it is Google. If you are," and this was about 1999 and 2000. I said, "If you are not optimizing your website for Google," and they all looked at me, and these were people who owned web properties, and they were in the tourism business, and they ran the associations down there. They said Google, and they laughed me out of that room because they thought the name was so funny. They literally laughed because
it's a hilarious name.
And so that's the start. And it's an interesting story about how Google came about, because pre-Google, it was, we can, as a search engine optimization company, we can get you on all the search engines. And back then, all the search engines was, get me on Yahoo, get me on LookSmart, get me on InfoSeek, get me on Excite, get me on all these old dinosaurs, which don't, and back then it was Inc to Me, and that would have a large spread in distribution. Ask Jeeves.
Yeah, that was my favorite.
So MSN was a really good one too.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted to be on MSN because that was during the battles of, well, let's see, Netscape and
Netscape
and Microsoft.
Yep.
And so back then it was MSN had the monopoly over everybody's computer, and everybody wanted to be on MSN. A lot of people forget about that.
Explain to me, especially because we have a lot of local businesses, right? Or local Salt Lake City people that have local businesses here. They're listening to the podcast right now, Mark. Why does somebody even want to be on the front page? I mean, obviously it's so they get searched, but why not the second or third page?
Yeah, well, we know the dead bodies are hidden on the second and third page. So if you want to be a dead company and be on the second or third page, then shoot for mediocrity.
Well, right. No, but do you think it really makes that big of a difference, the first page or the second page?
Absolutely. It's 90% of, if you're going to, for instance, if you're talking about the local businesses that want to be on the first page of Google, in most cases, it's 3 listings. It's 3 companies.
The first 3 is the one.
And those 3 get the benefit of sometimes the covetous blue and green links underneath there. We're talking about the maps.
Sure.
And there's 3 map listings.
Yes.
Some people call that the
hotspot
3-pack. And if you're not on the 3-pack, you have some kind of, a problem. You have maybe an itis, a 3-pack itis is what I like to call it, because that's a pain, or that's kind of like, well, I'm suffering from rank deficiency, and the only thing I need is ranking delivery or somebody who can help me with my problem and solve it.
So how do you keep up with that? I mean, I know that Google has kind of changed algorithms, and they don't, since the original days, everybody kind of figured out how they made it work, and then they kind of made adaptations, and they don't really share their secret sauce. How do you keep up on changes in that
Surround
world.
yourself with the smartest people, as any business owner would, because there's no way I can keep up with everything. In fact, in the local situation, people want to be on the 3-pack. And one of the most changing algorithms on Google's first page results are those map listings. They change so frequently that you have to be up to speed on that.
Yeah.
But you also have to take the punches. When you're working on, let's say, an assisted living facility where you might be dealing with dementia keywords, because people who are looking for assisted living are looking for their father or mother who have maybe a dementia, maybe they have elderly care needs, maybe they have the needs for Alzheimer's. And with all these types of keywords that are a potential search, for instance, the number one search for an assisted living, is assisted living facility, right? Or assisted living Salt Lake. But then the parent or the sons and daughters of a parent who has dementia might type in dementia care, or they might type in Alzheimer's care or
because they probably want to know what assisted living specializes in that type of care.
And so a search is relative to the person who's behind the desk or on the phone using the mobile search. And so when you're searching for a dementia care because your father or mother has dementia, you really want to be popping up there for dementia care.
How do you know?
And get to the top.
Yeah, for sure. How do companies figure out what keywords to really focus on?
That's where Mark comes in, though.
Yeah.
Well, let me back up a little bit from that. That's a great question, Chrissy. The reason you work on a website in the first place as a marketing agency is because you know in your heart of hearts that it deserves your services. So whether you're offering rank delivery or search engine optimization services to get to the first page of Google, or you're offering a social media solution or package to their problem, or maybe it's a paid media with PR or paid search, which you can buy your way to the top. And whether it's an email or a sales funnel, all the different things that digital marketers do. Maybe you just need a new website and you're hiring your digital marketer, and then they encompass all that type of service. You, in your heart of hearts, have to know that you're competent and you're going to provide the client a really good service, and it deserves your service. So to be as upfront as possible to the client about a search engine optimization campaign would mean that I would have to look at the website and say, does it deserve to be on the first page of Google? Because a website that deserves to be on the first page of Google usually has the potential keywords that people are going to type in. And it's going to bring in enough traffic to sustain a campaign that's vibrant and ongoing. And that, to me, is the way you can tell. So you have to back up, and then you have to do the research and analysis, and sometimes you even have to do a competitor analysis and look and see whether or not there is a place for you to be on the first page of Google. So many times do I look at a website, and it might be in the financial sector, it might be in the coaching sector, and it might be somewhere. Maybe it's I Am Salt Lake sector. Yeah. And we had this conversation about this earlier, Chris. The number one golden keyword question you ask a person who owns a website is, well, what keyword do you want to be on the first page of Google for? Remember when I asked you that question?
You did, and it kind of caught me off guard because you would think, I should know exactly what I want to be on the first page for. I would think Salt Lake City would be it. And for some reason, I thought we were near the front. I guess we're not.
Well, I mean, it depends on what you search for.
See,
right?
The podcasts have a disadvantage because Google can't search all the audio.
Yeah. And that's why transcriptions are so important. Right?
But what did I discover when I did a keyword research and analysis on your website? After you filled out my form, you went to SEOgame.com.
Wait, I didn't know this happened.
Well, I showed it to you.
You showed me the site. I didn't know you did the... Okay, anyway.
It was a one-page report. Yeah. And I think people really are overwhelmed with a lot of reports and audits. But I gave Chris a one-page keyword analysis and research report from my website using my keyword tool when you go to the website. There's a spokesman. It says, here, how to use it. Enter in your website. Enter in the keyword that you entered in Salt Lake, right?
Or
Salt Lake City.
Salt Lake City?
Did I? Yeah.
And then what did I come back and tell you about iamsaltlake.com?
I'd have to pull that up here.
Oh, I found some interesting stuff.
Let's actually take a
But
quick...
it gets exciting when you dig into it and you find out, you know what? That is empirical data. Empirical data leads to empirical facts. Remember I talked a little bit about the assisted living and dementia care and Alzheimer care. And if you were in the market looking for your father or mother who might need that type of service, you're obviously going to type in, it's not brain science. It's not brain, we're not talking about rocket science or,
brain surgery,
brain
technology. Science. You put them both together. It's super
I'm trying
hard
to come up with this, but it's pretty much all assisted living care centers really have the same group of keywords.
Right.
And they all want to be on the first page of Google for those. The St. George Hotel, when I first started back in 1996, all wanted to be number one for St. George hotels. There's empirical facts that a St. George hotel wants to be on the first page of Google for that keyword. And Google's gotten so smart lately that you don't even have to type in the word St. George anymore. You can just type in hotels. You can type in assisted living. You can type in podcast training or coaching or what we discovered about your website is another subject, but let's discover some golden gems.
We need to take a quick break, play a message from our sponsors, and then let's talk about what we discovered with I Am Salt. Do you want to talk about it a little? I can even pull it up here on the computer, but let's take a quick break and we'll be right back. Hang tight. All right, it's that time of the podcast where we take a couple minutes, tell you about our awesome sponsors. These are some great local businesses that are helping support the podcast. So when you support them, you're supporting us here at I Am Salt Lake. Hey, this episode of the podcast is sponsored by our friends at Blip Billboards. You all have seen the big digital billboards driving up and down I-15. Well, do you realize how easy and simple it is to get your business up on these billboards? This is great for if you have a local business here along the Wasatch Front, to get your business in front of more eyes, more people. And rather than the typical month-long contract that can cost you thousands of dollars and only have your billboard up in one location, Blip sells per flip, aka a blip, on digital billboards. A blip is anywhere between 7.5 and 10 seconds, depending on the billboard, and one of these blips can go for as little as 1 penny. You can be specific on which board you want to advertise on locally here in Salt Lake City or even nationwide. They're all over. They got them in a bunch of different states. And you can also select the times that you want to advertise. You only pay for the time you want your message to be up. This is great. We're actually in the middle of an I Am Salt Lake podcast campaign with Blip Billboards, and it has been awesome. We've actually changed our design a handful of times. It's really easy to do that. You can put a new image up daily if you want. They have great customer service at Blip Billboards. It's a great way to gain awareness, to get your brand name out there to as many people as you can. Why is Blip the best outdoor advertising option? Let me tell you this here really quick. They're cheap, they're customizable, and no contract required. You have complete control of your campaign. You name your price, like I said. There is no minimum. Some of the blips go for as little as 1 penny. Go check this out. BlipBillboards.com is their website. They're really cool people to work with. Go check them out. And many thanks to Blip Billboards for sponsoring this episode of the podcast. All right, this episode of the podcast is sponsored by Product Power Up. This is the best and biggest conference geared solely to product people and the companies they create. And it's back this year. It's back and it's ready to put on a great show. Product Power Up is happening September 20th and the 21st at the Mountain America Expo Center, which is located at 9575 South State Street in Sandy. Product Power Up is put on in partnership by the guys at Blacksmith International and Fiber Fix. These guys got together and decided that enough was enough, that there was simply no community that catered to non-technical founders of product companies, so they decided to make one. This event is for anyone who identifies as a product person. It is not just another tech conference. It is not a simple networking event. It is not simply an entrepreneur event. It is 2 days of incredible content from some of the top product pros in the business, along with a great networking opportunities and product showcases. If you have launched a product, if you have worked with product, if you buy product, if you sell product, or anything else related to products, you need to plan on being here.
I love the idea of this product power-up because I swear we've all had those moments where you have this amazing product idea that you want to be made, but you don't have the resources. You don't know where to go. So for people like me, this is a great thing.
Head on over to their website, productpowerup.com. This is where you can purchase tickets. You can see who's speaking. You can see the panelists, or just find out more information about this incredible 2-day event that's happening September 20th and the 21st at the Mountain America Expo Center. And of course, many thanks to Product Power Up for sponsoring this episode of the podcast. All right, this episode of the podcast is sponsored by the very delicious, the very awesome Five Wives Vodka. You know, when you're over in Texas, go ahead, drink your Tito's. But when you're here in Utah, you drink Five Wives Vodka. So the next time you're at your local bar, ask for Five Wives Vodka. The next time you're at your state liquor store, ask for Five Wives Vodka. They actually have an app I want to tell people about here. This is for our out-of-state listeners, probably, if you're listening. Go to bfspirits.com. This is an app. Big Fish Liquor actually does it, and you can actually order your Five Wives Vodka and get it delivered directly to your doorstep. Really cool. Big Fish Liquor, bfspirits.com. There is 3 different flavors of Five Wives Vodka that I want to tell you about. The original flavor, which I want Chrissy to tell you about this one, guys.
Because it is my favorite. The original Five Wives Vodka is made from Utah mountain spring water. It's 100% distilled corn spirit and gluten-free, which is great for us. The spring's hidden in beautiful Ogden Canyon, and it's inaccessible by vehicle, so the water is hiked out 5 gallons at a time. And it makes a fantastic Bloody Mary.
I want to tell you guys about the Five Wives Sinful. This is a flavored vodka with a delicious cinnamon taste. And unlike all those other cinnamon products that give you that cinnamon candy taste, Sinful is like a morning cinnamon roll with only 76 calories per ounce. They also have the Five Wives Heavenly, which is a flavored vodka with a delicious vanilla taste. Heavenly's rich, buttery vanilla flavor comes through without coating your taste buds with sugar, and this results in more vanilla and less calories. Head on over to their website, fivewivesvodka.com. This is where you can find out more information about them. You can find out recipes. And like I said, the next time you're at your local bar or state liquor store, ask for Five Wives Vodka by name. And of course, many thanks to Five Wives Vodka for sponsoring this episode of the podcast. During our break, Mark and I were going through, so like we mentioned how I went on to SEOgame.com, and then you could type in like your website, right? Mm-hmm. And then it could show you keywords. And you taught me something here, Mark. No GMB. Explain this for the listeners, the people listening, because a lot of people might be. Do you know what this means, Chrissy? No GMB?
It's
I do not.
slang
I'm
for
out of
Google
the SEO
My
game.
Business.
Okay.
Google My. I guess we don't have a business thing.
And every
for
businesses should and must have one, even if you don't have a physical address.
Is it something that you set up through Google?
It is at business.google.com.
Is it free? Is it free?
It is free.
What?
At business.google.com, it is your number one asset. It is so big. If you were a hotel and you had a limousine, that would be an asset to your hotel, right? You wouldn't leave the limo with the night clerk and give him the keys. And if the night clerk left the company at the hotel, you wouldn't let him take off with the keys. But you would be surprised how many businesses take their number one asset and throw the keys with the night clerk who leaves the company. It is so important. And businesses do not take it seriously. Google My Business.
So that's one tip that we can give with the listeners.
Everybody
today. Should have that set up.
Business.google.com.
At business.google.com, and you can register, and you may already have a listing and you may not have claimed it.
Okay.
And if you do have a listing and you need to claim it, you can just go to business.google.com and do the phone call thing. But it's really easy to do business.google.com. You just register for a postcard. 3 days later, you get a little 6-digit code. And we're sitting here at Access, Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
If I were to check all the Google My Business listings for this co-working office space here, there's quite a few, because other businesses want to establish themselves here. But that doesn't mean anything. I've seen plumbing companies get set up. I don't know if they're doing it now, but at a Home Depot, as long as you can get a postcard sent and you know somebody who will say, your postcard arrived, here's a 6 digits, and then you register. Now, no business anyone who has a website, I don't care what industry you're in, you're never going to show up on the first page of Google unless you get that set up. So that is the tip.
And you wouldn't want to send that postcard to your home because I guess then your home address would be on the Google My.
I mean, if your home address is your business address,
you should. And you always will have to. And then you can just say, my address is Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
And you can
change it later.
Yeah. Check the dot here, and it says, I don't want my address to show.
But I know this is some interesting information. We have a pretty high Google ranking here, like you said, for the Lantern Festival, Utah.
Oh, that is incredible. And the Comic-Con.
Yeah, Salt Lake Comic-Con. We need to do more with that.
You're already showing up on the first page of Google because of the events that you've already provided for the community of Salt Lake City. And Google is rewarding your website. You have a beautiful website.
That's all Chrissy.
Well, thank you.
Chrissy, congratulations.
And that's actually an updated version. Well, she's updated it multiple times.
Google loves it. And the juice that you're getting from people who want to list their website to yours and link, that is Google juice. That is juice that you need.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you're getting these one-way links and these partners. You never give up on that because you can never outsource that, right?
Right.
Only you have a relationship to the Lantern Festival or the Comic-Con, and you should be always trying to get them to give you incoming links. And that is why you're showing so well up.
What else? I mean, what else based off of this could we do? Like one or two tips? I don't know. Or maybe you don't want to give those tips away because that's why we're supposed to hire you.
No.
I mean, it's an intense job. I think even if business owners like us tried to do it on our own, we still could never really.
Now, there is a business side to I Am Salt Lake.
Yeah.
This is just community outreach link.
Right.
And this is why Google's rewarding you. But I would say for a business owner like you, you're in such a position to leverage yourself all the time and find more events and more community events to bring in and do and cover. The more you do, the more, because the Lantern Festival, believe it or not, generates 2,000 average people typing per month. They're looking for that. And they're seeing your podcast and they're looking at the Comic-Con. So the more events you do and the more events that are in Salt Lake City that you place in, we call that content that you place on your website, evergreen content that doesn't get really changed up much. Once you post it there, you just hope that you can just add on to that and maybe make another post for 2019. But I would continue on with what you're doing. The only thing that you don't do as a business is look at those side keywords right there. What are your business keywords that you should show up for the first page of Google?
Well, I see like best Utah podcast, Salt Lake podcast, Salt Lake City podcast. Mm-hmm. So it's these ones over here, right?
And there's some business type keywords as well.
Salt Lake City Entertainment, Salt Lake City Talent Agency.
Are we a talent agency?
I don't know.
Oh,
well,
interesting.
I just kind of brainstorm a lot when I build a one-page report. Now, a one-page report identifies keywords whether you deserve to be on the first page of Google. It may not be your thing about becoming a talent agency. It may not be.
But we do showcase talent.
Yeah.
You do. Yeah. And so
we just don't make money on it.
Keywords that people are searching. These are the ones that you would want to probably maybe go after if you're looking to monetize. And so I just thought I'd just share a few. No,
I love it. And I mean, you are definitely an asset. So explain to me if a listener wants to hire you, what is the process? What is, I mean, I guess the process would be different for each person, or how does that work, Mark?
If a business owner wants to hire me, All they have to do is go to SEOgame.com, and my phone number's there. I pick up the phone every time. They can check out the keyword research tool, which is easy as entering in your website and your top keyword. And then I can do a full page, one-page report, and all that doesn't cost anything. The purpose of being in business is to provide a good service so that when you're working for someone and they want to refer a business by word of mouth, that is my ultimate goal, is that I do a 30-day trial. So everything that I do is generating first page results on a performance model. And I've coined it 12 years ago, calling it performance-based SEO. Now with the word SEO getting so overused, I want to not ever use that word ever again, because that's really a confusing word for a lot of people.
The SEO is you got it right there on your shirt.
It is.
And I think it's become so, like you said, it's overused, and so its importance is underrated.
And it means a lot to other people. The digital marketer, who I say I'm an SEO and he's an SEO, he might have a different definition that he tells his customers, and it muddies up the water for the client and the customer who wants to hire me. And so I've changed it to just something simple called rank delivery, because ultimately with a 30-day trial that I offer, I want to dominate your first page with your keywords and put you on the first page of Google in 30 days. And if I can't do that, I don't get paid. It's just a simple customer service offer. I've been doing it for the last 12 years.
That is.
So, I mean, you obviously get paid
deal.
once in a while, right?
Well, I am hoping for 5-month gig, on that model.
Right.
And the
because you have
pricing's
to constantly
pretty
be working
affordable.
on SEO. It's not something you can do one time and leave alone.
No, you have to dominate your first page. You have to actually identify the top trophy keywords, the best keywords, and then with the customer in mind, they want to be validated for their keywords. The plumber who might have a technician in Utah County and he's doing business in Salt Lake County, he wants his tech to stay out there in Utah County. And so if I learn of that's the need of the plumber, I want to be able to call the plumber up before he has to ask me and say, hey, by the way, we're going to be working on your Provo and your Orem keywords and Lehigh keywords. And in 30 days, we'll have those number one. And when the plumber says, how did you know that that's my problem? It's just because you have to get into the clients,
You get
shoes.
to know them and you pay
want
attention
to know
to them.
what their problems are. A plumber wants to be in the springtime, number one for his air conditioning keywords, air conditioning repair, air conditioning services. And in the fall, going into the winter, what keywords does the plumber, if he's providing heating repair and HVAC repair, he wants to be number one. So you have to be always validating your customer. And if you're constantly doing that, then word of mouth will always work.
Right.
And he's going to say, well, I have a brother-in-law who's in Dallas who does plumbing, and here's his contact. And are you going to give him the 30-day trial? And that's the goal. That's the goal of being in business.
So you could do all over. You don't just do Utah.
Right.
Wow. So you probably stay pretty busy.
I have over 100 websites to work with. But I didn't get 100 websites plus to work for just because I wanted to work, and I don't have any employees. So it's
just you doing all the work.
It would be a lot of problem having 100 clients, like 100 plumbers calling me all the time, during their lunch break, talking to me about their crack problem because they got crack. It's a little bit of a problem that plumbers have. But,
Okay, I got it.
As a plumber's
I was
joke.
like, what kind of crack are we talking? Oh, okay.
The sign on the road, they want to tell you about it. And then they deal with toilets that have cracks and it's stinky. It's always a problem, right? And I don't want to hear much about it. No one really does. Working directly with clients is important. You wouldn't be in business if you had a, constant complaint about, I have to take those phone calls or something like that. But I'll tell you what, I switched gears about 12 years ago to really focus on doing SEO for SEO companies. And I gravitated to where all the business is because digital marketers need it more than anyone.
How interesting.
So now I really only take on clients that are SEO companies. And they need it more than anybody because they'll have a book of business of 5 or 6 websites, and they might be doing okay on a couple. But then there's that one struggling hard client, a payday loan company or a Viagra website, something that's extremely hard, e-commerce, startup, something in that space that's really, really difficult, a plastic surgeon, or maybe it's a personal injury lawyer.
Like something that's a little bit overpopulated.
They are just doing all that they can and can't deliver that ranking for that client. And the client will vote for their dollars every time. Voting for their dollars means they're going to walk. If you can't deliver and you continue as a digital marketer say, well, we're working on it. What are the words? Have you ever been told we're working on it by somebody on the other line on the phone?
Oh yeah. And that just means keep paying us.
We're working on it.
That's job security right there, is not delivering, because then you keep getting paid to say, hey, it will be done eventually.
But do you get that contract, that 6 month, that year? If you're a digital marketer, you don't get it the next time. Sign up. They vote with their dollars, and that everyone will do that. And so they need a solution that will turn that client around. And I'm that heavy hitting solution. So I have gravitated to just take on really hard case clients and doing SEO for SEO company and being the SEO reseller. Is really all my focus nowadays.
Wow.
And that's what's been able to make me scalable, because scalability in everybody's business is, how can I grow my business, right?
Scalability is so difficult.
And if you can figure it out, I can scale by not being on the phone as much. And I can scale if I am working for clients that respect the service that I'm providing. I can scale if the businesses who I take on are growing exponentially at the rate that I feel comfortable at. And I can coach them and train them and get the marbles out of their mouth. And my greatest joy in life is hearing marbles pop out of the digital marketer's mouth, because they double speak with their client. Well, it's going to take a marathon to get your keywords, and it's going to take at least 6 months. And you hear that over and over. And then one of the greatest things is to take that marble out of the mouth where the digital marketer says, you know what, we're going to put our money where our mouth is, and we have the resources, we have the confidence, we're going to go bold, and we're going to get your results in 30 days.
And the client likes that too.
And I love it when the digital marketer even says, and you know what, keep your wallet close to your vest, and don't worry about a payment until we show you the results. That's awesome. That's how you stay really exciting, with the digital marketers, because digital marketers love a 30-day trial, probably more than Joe the plumber. Although Joe the plumber likes the 30-day trial, but
that's an exciting marketing strategy, Really
fun. Anyway.
Oh no, what I was going to ask here. So we have on our Facebook group, I threw it out there that we were going to be chatting with you, and we got a question here from one of our listeners, Elizabeth. And I thought this was kind of interesting because I haven't really thought about this one, but she wants to know, should all content be on one page, and how much info should be on there?
We talked about that with that assisted living facility.
True.
Because if you try and cram in dementia care, if you're in an assisted living facility and you have a place where you want, my parents are getting up in the age, right? If I need to find and my father's going in and he has Alzheimer's, and there's a history in my family with that. And then I want to, find a really good care facility, elderly care. You won't see everything about Alzheimer on the first page of an assisted living. You're going to have to dig deep into that website, and you're not going to pop for the word Alzheimer's care or dementia care unless you have specific content on those back pages.
So you don't put it all on one page.
And it's the more content, the better.
Why would it? But I don't. You were explaining it to me. I've never even heard of anybody doing that.
Would you agree with
me? Silly.
One-page websites they're kind of trendy, right? Especially like templated one-page websites where scrollable content.
I can't even think of one.
Navigation will scroll down to the About Us section. Oh, I'll find some and show you. It's kind of a big, easy trend. It's if you want a quick website. I don't think it's anyone who focuses on SEO, obviously. It's just kind of like a simple business website template type thing. And they don't have a lot of content, It's like Squarespace, has a lot like that. So,
You-
I mean,
you must not
sorry,
be a
sorry,
fan of-
Squarespace.
I'm not a fan of one-page results, but I
Yeah.
can tell you, for your listener who asked, one of the things that a lot of business owners do is that they change their platforms. They might go from a Squarespace to a WordPress, right? A WordPress website is different from a Wix website. You know, they might start out with a free kind of a program, a low solution, and then now they all of a sudden want their own a platform.
Like a
which-
robust one.
Exactly. I bring that up is because they still want SEO at the same time, and then they want their website being done at the same time. So you have to focus a little bit sometimes. Okay, obviously the core keywords are the homepage keywords. Then there's backpage keywords. And so there's strategy.
Now, have we asked you, Mark, how do you keep up with all of this? I mean, there's got to be changes every day. Is there like a publication, or is this all top secret?
The dirty little secrets of SEO. No, I really believe that if you just surround yourself and you have the best team as a business owner, you're never going to know everything, and you really have to have a support.
Yeah.
And I have a really good team. Luckily for me, I don't have to do the, if the claiming of business, Google my business addresses and get on the phone with Google and claim it. I just have to make sure that the customer is aware that at such and such time, Google will be calling and my team member will be pushing the buttons on the back end, because believe me, that will drive me crazy if I had to write the content for the website.
Yeah.
For instance, that's another thing.
I was wondering that. What if someone hires you and they don't have much content at all? Do you just tell them, get some content on your site and then get back to me?
Content is a easy solution for most people. Did you know that if I'd like to go back to that assisted living company.
Sure, let's go there.
And
now.
dementia care. And let's say you don't have any content on a dementia care and you were just being told that you need to build a website. You have everything that it takes about assisted living, but you know that you want to be on the first page for assisted living, which is the home page. Dementia care and Alzheimer's care would be the back pages. You don't have enough content. Did you know all you need is about 200 to 500 words of content that writes to your customer? And I have been able to at least extract that from business owners, or they always know somebody in the somebody who works for the assisted living facility. They've always been able to come up with 200, 300 words that writes to their customer about dementia care. What makes them special about dementia care? What makes them special about Alzheimer's care?
You just kind of have to guide them.
And you just kind of just give them a little bit of a guidance like that. Okay. And you just say, write. Mm-hmm. Do it in the can. Do it somewhere, but just write and then give it to me. And then I'll do the rest. And that's what a digital marketing agency does, because we're marketers and we'll write for the audience. We'll write so once we get our 200 words, that's from the customer, then there's a conveyor belt of how do we do it. I'll write then the marketing material for, the areas that we cover, all the things that are marketing. And then I'll even go a step further and I'll say, okay, we need to add exact match keywords with using dementia care Albuquerque.
So you take their content and you enhance it.
Okay. And that's it. And it's really a fast, easy process. It shouldn't be anything more than that. A lot of people think of content marketing and good that you guys do blogs and good that you've done these events that show up your top keywords.
I've noticed that those events are the things that...
It's good for you, what you do.
It helps.
In social.
It's something that people really like to be able to go to, because it's hard to find a place where there's a lot of events. So I'm glad that we do it.
What do you do? I've come across a lot of people that feel I don't even need a website. I have Facebook.
Or do you can get a Google My Business website too, which isn't even...
I mean, it's like it's so cheap to get a website nowadays.
Well, you if you're at that stage in your business and you don't think that a website is necessary and you need to pay the hosting costs and you need to even go there, just get the Google My Business listing in addition and focus on your reviews, your reputation. Get a couple of reviews. Just because you get Google My Business review, you gotta treat it
You have to pay attention to it.
You've got
sure.
to pay attention to your reputation. You've
Yeah.
got to pay attention to your feedback that
What
people
about-
might give you some reviews and
Yeah.
then give a review back to the person and use keywords, and 5-star reviews are all that everyone talk about. If you have a Facebook page, get your reviews there, get your Yelp reviews, get those reviews and spend 1 minute a day and call it your 30-minute system. Okay. We have the 30-minute workout system, get it, the 30-minute feedback system, and just spend 1 minute a day, top of mind awareness, TOMA. I love that acronym, TOMA, top of mind awareness. Put your sign on your door. Every time you walk into your business, think of, what am I going to do today to get a review? Do I just need to ask my customer? If that's all you need to do, they'll do it. 30% of the customers will give you a review if you just say, hey, we have reviews. 30% more will give you a review if you ask them and give them a little nudge, like a piece of paper or a signature file in your email. A signature file is something that's at the bottom of the email that you always include, like your phone number, your email address. Copy and paste your instructions on how to give a review. It's really easy to do nowadays. You just Google for when you get your Google My Business review, Chris.
We're going to set that up tonight.
You need to go to business.google.com and get that set up tonight. But when you get the postcard and you get your reviews, start asking your customers, would you give us a review? They'll always do it. A third of the people will never give you a review. So it's split up. It's an interesting.
But are you afraid to ask for a review? Maybe they'll give you 1 star.
Never ask a customer that will give you a bad review.
But you don't know. You don't know, Mark.
Oh, do you know?
I guess if you read people, what do you think the biggest mistake people make with SEO?
Not focusing on their culture of getting the reviews that they need. Reviews can be a do-it-yourself solution to every business. The other thing is if you pit yourself up again, if you're a business owner and you have competition, right? One company who knows what their keywords are and has drive to be on the first page of Google, most likely will always be on the first page of Google. The other company who says, I think
okay.
SEO is okay, but I don't really know about it and I want to play stupid, and the less I know, plead ignorance. It won't hurt me. Mm-hmm. It will hurt you if you have drive. And that's the way that digital marketers decide to work with customers anyway, is they like to work with the company that drives them. And that just challenges us.
Few questions here as we kind of wrap this episode up here. Few Utah-related questions I always ask on the podcast. What do you like about living in Utah, Mark? I mean, you mentioned Seattle. You came back to Utah. What is 1 or 2 things that you're just like, I love this about Utah?
I love being networked in Utah. I could go golfing once a week and network with people. And there's my group of people. I could go into a networking event and I see these beehives on your wall, and I look at networking like there's usually someone in the middle, like a cinnamon roll pan. You have the cinnamon roll in the middle, and then you have the outside ones. I love connecting with the guy that's in the middle, the girl that's in the middle, who is a stem winder, and she has her connections, because in the game of networking and being able to do your 30-second elevator pitches with the people that will help you and want to help you, because in this world of networking in Utah, I share my message about networking with people in Utah, outside of Utah, all day long, and they just do not believe what kind of community we have when I could tell them all the events that are going on. One of my little side hustles is being the most networked person in Utah, and I can tell you there are very few. Joel, who owns this building, is a high networker, and we get really go, no, I go to all these events. And how many events did you go to last week? And there is endless around this area. And there's always something going on. And I'm so happy to be here. One of the things is you inviting me. This is new for me.
Is this your first podcast you've been on?
Yeah.
Well, look at this.
This is exciting.
His podcast.
I'm so humble.
Yeah.
I'm just so.
No, this is fun. What about local? I always ask this. It's a silly question. Favorite local eating spots? I know you got 1 or 2 places, whether it's between here or you. I know you're down in Utah County way too, but what about Salt Lake, Utah County? What do you like?
the best food that I eat each week is at Top Golf. And that I know is in West Jordan. And the best networking going on over there. And tomorrow at 11 o'clock, there's a free networking event just for anyone. Anyone.
At Top Golf?
At Top Golf on the 3rd floor. And there's a lady out there. Her name is Lindsay. She's got these platinum accounts and she lets everyone come. And the food is just so incredible.
So what would you order? Like what's good
there's 15 different types of artesian pizza.
Really?
And I just, I never get enough of those pizzas that they have at
Who would have guessed? Is the one over by
West Jordan?
By Winco. By Winco, right there, right?
Right there.
Yeah, because I'm always seeing it there when we shop at Winco.
And then there's Trader Joe's here in Salt Lake City.
Oh, yeah, Trader Joe's.
In fact, I'm going there right afterwards. Every time I go to Salt Lake, I go to Trader Joe's.
Well, we better get you out of here. They close up here.
They're building one in Provo.
Are they?
Yeah, Provo or Orem, maybe.
So let's leave the listeners with one tip or like an SEO thing that I guess we've given them all kinds of tips throughout this episode.
Hacks.
I don't know, or a hack.
Yeah, let's talk about a hack. If you're a business owner, number one, drive, want to be there. Okay. Let the person who you work with, do the job, because if you feel like that everything is complicated, it probably isn't for you, because hiring any digital marketer for the services that you need, whether it's social media marketing, could be pay-per-click marketing, it could be email marketing, it could be just building a website. It's all a job. And they should have the confidence enough that if they really knew you well enough, they would do it for you for free or put their money where their mouth is and give you a trial. And that, even though it may require a payment, there are so many digital marketers that will get you there. And with search engine optimization or rank delivery, it really does just mean that, get me there. And so if you're hiring somebody for SEO, make sure they use those words and validate what you're looking for, because it's easy to hire somebody who will just take up your money and talk all the right things and the flattery of the words of saying the right things. But try and find their true colors. Find out if, what their clients are saying, and look to those reviews, get your own reviews. I'd say it's building a bridge. When you have your digital marketer on the one side of the bank, building a bridge and you're on the other side of the river, you should come and meet them in the middle. There are things that you cannot, the digital marketer cannot do for you. They cannot outsource your business development. They cannot go out and talk directly to your customers like you can. You are the top salesman of your business, and you must work in conjunction with your digital marketing agency. Come and meet them in the middle. I call that Google My Business listing the key to your success. Treat it wisely. Do not get any negative reviews. But if you're in a business that gives you negative reviews, respond on it and take your company culture seriously. Focus on it 1 minute a day and get the right kind of reviews, not just a 5-star review that says, hey, I did a great job, or work with John because he's cool. Those reviews might help with the 5-star, but they don't look authentic. Get the ones that say, hey, I like working with this plumber in Salt Lake City. Notice the word plumber, Salt Lake City. Juice. Get that juice. And then respond to it as a business owner. And just continue and never give up. And if you have the drive, you'll be number one.
I love it. Now, how can people get a hold of you, Mark?
Just simply go to SEOgame.com, search engine optimization. Look me up, Mark Herre. You can find me on LinkedIn. I would love a connection. You can just search SEO Game, and my phone number is all there.
Awesome. Anything else you want to ask him, Chrissy, before I let him go?
One piece of advice for our listeners.
Well,
What's one piece of life advice?
Life
advice. For listeners who want to get what they need from their marketing specialists, is just ask the right questions, and don't be afraid to ask for their testimonials and referrals. And that's just the advice. Just always
do your research.
Yeah. Trust, but verify.
I love it.
Perfect.
Thank you so much, Mark, for coming and doing the podcast.
Thanks for letting me do my Facebook Live.
I've had a heck of a time in here, and I'm glad I brought you in. I've had a good time. So I always tell people, let's catch up down the road.
Thanks so much, Mark Herre, for coming and joining us on this episode of the podcast and sharing your story. You can head on over to our website, iamsaltlake.com/338 for all the links to get in touch with him and to find out more about the SEO game and what Mark does.
Hey, do you guys remember a couple years ago when Chrissy and I went to Podcast Movement in Chicago? Well, this year it's going on in Philadelphia. Chrissy and I are able to go this year. We're really excited. So we're actually going to be in Philadelphia from July 19th until the 27th. So you're going to want to make sure that you're connected with us on social media, as I'm sure we're going to be sharing tons of pictures and videos. So connect with us on there. What is your social media, Chrissy?
Well, let's see. On Facebook, where I'm generally more active, just search Chrissy Shelley Hollifield or find Chris, and then, you can find my link there. Or on Twitter and Instagram, it's at Lady Salt Lake.
Or you can just follow all the I Am Salt Lakes as well. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.
We're easy to find.
And connect with us. We're going to share lots of fun on our trip.
Many thanks again to our sponsors for this episode, Five Wives Vodka, Product Power Up, and Blip Billboards. And a big thank you to Access Co-working Space for their hospitality with our podcast studio. And most of all, many thanks to you guys, the listeners, for coming back week after week.
You all have a great week. Get out and enjoy the city, support local, and we'll see you on the next episode.
And good night, Grammy.